that they are being used, which type of knowledge basically these documents provide, who are the people in the company that produce these documents, and who are their main users on your left side. On your right side, basically you will show and you will map who are the potential users, that people that use and potential users, which type of access that resource or that document has, and where is the gap. So basically, when you have all this listed, now imagine that you are listing an entire department, you will see a not balanced relation between things that people produce, users, potential users that should have access and don't have, duplications, and many things. And when you start putting this in place, you have a concise tool to go to top management and say, look, we need to organize this process in a more transversal way, because this way we are just generating silos. So, and this is a way to show with an example that to the top management that information and knowledge management are things that need to be organized and should be take place in the organization in the transversal way. But we cannot speak without having very concrete stuff, because other way top management look at us and say, I'm not understanding, that doesn't make any sense. Okay. Now, the second thing that I would like to bring is let's say, it's something that I think it's the key for many things. It's the evaluation impact. So, meaning performance evaluation. So, I would like to know, because sometimes I don't know if it is a problem that we have here in Portugal and in the company, or in the companies that I know and I have colleagues, but it's almost not, I don't like the word impossible, but it's very difficult to find good examples where in the evaluation of KPIs, key performance indicators, and in the career development, people from corporations has specific indicators regarding with knowledge management and contribution of knowledge. And this is a very big problem, because the reason it's not a because, and the reason it's why a big problem, it's because you find in companies two types of workers, what I name missionaries and what I name mercenaries. So I don't know if I spell correctly, or mercenaries, I'm sorry. So, and when I put, this is just a curiosity, but when I put these words in Google and I try to find pictures, look to the pictures that mainly appear. So missionaries are people that work independently of having a reward, having more money at the end, you know, having a promotion. So they work, they love. So independently of what they will get, they just do. And the other type of people that are in organizations are the mercenaries, that, and it appears this image, only image of war, that are people that are paid to be there, but they have no connection. They are there because they are there. Okay. So, and it's okay. You need to have them both inside of organizations. But what is really important is, independently if you are a missionary, or if you have or if you are a mercenary, what is important is have regulations in the company that force everybody to have this knowledge behavior and to contribute with their knowledge to the development of business. And if you don't have something that forces all of them, especially the mercenaries, it's very hard to make this happen. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is that HR, when they are designing the way they will evaluate the performance of people that will impact in their career development, they must stop measure people only considering the delivers, but also, and or at least with the same force, their ability to and their capacity to perform in tasks. And this is where knowledge management gets a lot of relevance, because when you look to these sentences, the capacity of performing tasks, that means that success it's not this line, it's this mess. And what knowledge management does is exactly to act on this mess, to make something a mess, a process, a more linear process that must to be rewarded, and that must have an impact in the career. Other way, you know, the people that don't work by heart, they don't care, because why I'm doing this, does it have an impact? I have 100 tasks. Should I contribute with my knowledge for what? There is regrets at the end? No, sorry, there is rewards. I'm sorry, there is rewards at the end? No, so I don't care. Only the missionaries? No, we will do that independently if we be rewarded or not. So that's why having HR here, it's key. Now you are probably thinking, well, that's very nice, but how should I measure? How can we measure knowledge management? How can we manage knowledge and the impact of knowledge? Well, that is possible. And again, let's bring one other way of working in our area. And this is what I named knowledge ladder. And basically a knowledge ladder is the process to collect, organize, and rate, of course, and deliver return on investment when the topic is knowledge. And to make this happen, it's extremely important in my vision to have, again, the colleagues of informatics and information systems in our side. I always say this to my students: your best friends are people from informatics, engineering informatics, because I always say that we information and knowledge managers, we are the architects, so we design the house, but then we need somebody to make it happen. And then I'm going to the engineering people, because they know, in fact. So if you are planning to build a house, you're not going started by engineering, you started by architects. And this is our position. So to make this happen, we need to have this conception, but then we need to be sure that the company has the technical support, the environments to make all this, to make this happen in practice. So the first thing, it's really important in our tools, in our platforms, and this is a very general vision, but just for you to keep the idea, we need to have a space there to allow the collaborator to add an insight, knowledge about a process, about something after a meeting, lessons learned. Needs to be in that digital environment a space to put an insight, knowledge. Let's think in the root of everything, intellectual capital. But words are only words. So as we need to provide also, let's make this very clear. Me, Teresa, I want to add an insight. And then or me, or as a group, before we close the environment, the system open another box that will ask me in which category I want to, which label, let's say, or each classification I want to add to that insight. That means that previously we, information knowledge managers, we need to understand the nature of all types of insights that we can collect. So, and that I'm put inside, next step, another box will ask me, and I will select, for example, trends. Before I select the trends, another step, another box should be open, and it will force me to make the rates. And here is where the beauty happens. Because I need to tell to the system that the insight, the knowledge that I'm providing, it will impact in which area of the company and which outcome it is expected that my insight will provide. And of course, this also needs to end with a step 4 that I will show you in a couple of minutes. So, but let's just for now understand how we can go from words, knowledge that is not measurable, to something that clearly you measure and you show in graphs. So I have filled the insight, the classification, the rating, and then I start having things like this. So it's very small, but then you for sure then you can push and then you can read, you can pause, so you can read it better. But then I will start having statistics, not only group statistics, but personal statistics. So you can start saying, like, for example, 70% of, I'm sorry, it's a Portuguese word there, I'm sorry. 70% of insights are from medical affairs. Then you can dive in and start saying that 74% of insights originate new projects, and the outcome and other one of the outcomes will also publications. But you can continue to dive in. And for example, you can understand the relation between business impact and actions, for example, and you start having things like 12 insights generate ideas from marketing to develop new promotional materials, or 5% of insights came from MSLs and generate new strategic direction in medical affairs. So the possibilities for you to understand where the insight comes from, what is the impact and which is the outcome, and then you can realize, and then you can make here a cross between this is the outcome and in fact happen. You clearly are showing to the organization that your insights make a difference, so you should be rewarded, and your career development should accomplish this stuff. But if you don't do this way, forget it. Because the other terrible side of this is that this will expose you a lot, because, and of course, it can generate a lot of different things. But basically, what we want is to push a lot from what is the big trigger for the next generations, that is creativity, meaning knowledge. And we really need to, HR are so important in this process. And thinking in information systems, and including platforms, applications, things that allow us to collect this and make this measurable. And to finish it, there is one step that is very critical, because until step 3, basically this is very dependent of Teresa or Paul or Inês or Maria are doing. It is Teresa that goes there. It's in an individual action. But if we really want a knowledge culture, and if we really want to push to the sky, then this step 4 is the discussion and validation by the work groups of step 3. Meaning, Teresa, let's say that at the end of 1 month, per quarterly, this is now completely connected with the way organizations are managed. You want to not only to see all the insights that you having there, but it's very important that if the insight, for example, is given after a meeting or after a strong discussion in a project group, it's absolutely necessary that the position of the group should be reflected also there. So this is all about the step number 4. So if Teresa had an insight and classified in trends that and then rating in business in an outcome in some way, it's really important that the team also open that analyze it and say, okay, we agree with everything, the rate, the classification, or they can say, Teresa, I'm sorry, but I think the impact is not only there, or I don't see the impact there. And in some way, the system also should collect the group validation. I don't like the word validation, but okay, or the group position, and Teresa. Because at the end of the day, HR and the senior directors will have not only Teresa contributes, but also if it is in alignment or not, and also they understand the position of the group toward her idea and how her idea fit in the group and how everything fits in the global goal of the company. And when you have all this, basically, you are deliver measurable things in knowledge. And you are compromising a lot of people because they know that that career development considers also their participation and their construction in knowledge. Because we are all the time here speaking about knowledge management, but honestly, we don't manage knowledge. We create conditions for knowledge to flow and to grow and to generate more stuff. So basically, I strongly believe that the culture of knowledge, this imperative that companies need to embrace is very connected with our capacity of, push people to add their insights in places, and also have groups discussing it and have these metrics. And when you have something like that, you are engaging everybody in this process. If this is happening, no. If books are already look at this, I'm not sure. Honestly, as far as I have been reading, I see and please be aware that I have been reading a lot of possible metrics and possible indicators regarding knowledge. But having something, that engage in this way, and something that I have been testing in the company, no, honestly. And if you ask me if it's been easy, no, very difficult, very, very difficult, because companies generally continue to have a very oriented vision to delivers, to have done, not have done, sell, didn't sell, and the mindset is something that it's take a lot of time to be changed. And when you present something like this, you are presenting a big, massive change. Now, continue, because time flies. The third thing and the last one that I would like to share with you about the knowledge, about things that probably don't read in books, is regarding with the steps to implement all this. So you find many things in books, but what you will find in books is something like, step 1, call for action, meaning what we understand by call for action. We have senior managers, VIP managers, board managers, make a decision and giving a clear direction that a knowledge culture should be implemented. Then you have a second step that, okay, we got this guidance, and you have the second layer, or no, the third layer of directors. Let's put the word into directors. They will be the responsibles to make it happen, the board directions, to call for action, and they should develop a knowledge management strategy. Then they developed a knowledge management strategy, and book says that they need to contact the developers, meaning the people that will make happen in terms of that will design and make the implementation of that strategy. And after that, you will need to assure that what was the dream, let's put this way, what was developed, designed, it will be extended by everybody in the company. So books give you this order. or sorry, this sequence. But my opinion and what I have been experienced is not exactly this in this order. General knowledge management actions barely start in the top management, in the call for action. They tend to start in the developed key knowledge management strategy, meaning in the directors, in the, I would say, third lines. They have a vision, they have a plan. And the first partners they need to get are the design and the informatics colleagues. And together, they need to build a case. So when they develop a case, they need to have a pilot. And the pilot means that they are not evolve all the collaborators. They will select a group of people that will test, for example, the flow that I explained previously to you. And only after that, after getting a case, this can be presented to top senior management, VIP senior management and board. And if they approved, okay, then you can have the order that I previously explained. So I would say that books have this very, top management or board manager, VIP manager, directors manager, but that honestly doesn't happen that way. In our area, most of the things get board strength, top senior VIP and board manager strength when we present a case of success. And then, okay, you can implement it in a transversal way. That requires a lot of time, a lot of patience, and a lot of effort. Because the problem here is that here you reply to someone that is on the VIP senior. And sometimes here, if your, let's say, if your manager here in this VIP senior understand your vision and believes on that, he or she will say, okay, just do it. But if the person here is a blocker, then you have a huge problem even to build a case. So knowledge management is many times the secret of success of knowledge management is, I would say, 90% of the times connected with your capacity of selling an idea, a concept. I'm not saying that here you will have 100 support, but you don't need it. You just need to have somebody that don't block you and say, okay, do it, but then let me know what happened. But it's really important. But keep in mind that if you want to build something, you need to have at least support from your director, from the manager, the third line, I would say the third line of managers, directors. This is key. And everything many times happen here in secret, very small. It's like when you put a seed on the land, the seed is there. You don't see gaining roots. You don't see anything. And one day something appears. And this is also very important. Don't expect nothing spectacular to happen, at least during 1 year, for example, or 6 months, 6 to 12 months, 1 year. You need to be really patient working here and having a few colleagues that will make a pilot. And then when you have the case, and you are very secure about it, and you know that these people will continue to work on the project. If the project grows, you are ready to present it to top management. And then if the senior VIP managers and board seeing the case, getting very convinced about it, for sure, then it will be something transversal. So books, I'm afraid that books, papers, whatever, I don't know if they at least what I have read, okay, I don't see this. I see all that very, you know, top management, board, and so on, but forget it. The success in our area, the big actions, the transformative actions in our area, as far as my experience has been shown to me, all of them are made in silence with a few people, building cases and then presenting the cases. It's like you create a monster, and when that appears, the top manager, senior VIP board, they cannot even destroy it because it's already very big. So this is something that you don't read it, but this is the truth. And when I speak with other colleagues sometimes of other pharma companies, they say, wow, Teresa, how you were able to do this? And I said, because I have done everything in silence with few people, building cases. Many times people were not giving a lot, even paying a lot of attention. But then you are start to put evidence and more evidence, and you have one day, next day you have 2, 3, 10, 20 people using an experience, so you have a case. So, and then you have people asking the others why we are not having access to this. When you get the question from others, why do we don't have access to this, you are prepared to present higher because your case is already a success. So this is something that is changing and put us in a very demanding position. But I always say this to my students: knowledge and information management is for very resilient and tough people, not for people that doesn't have strength enough. Now, the other thing before we ending our lesson is just to highlight you that when this happens and is extended to all employees, this for sure will have impact in KPIs. Because, you know, if people are start putting effort, and if people in some way are working on this, you also have power enough when you are presenting this case to board on senior VIP managers to let them know the relevance of having KPIs in something that has impact in the career development. And when you achieve all this, there is no possible way for not having knowledge management in a position, in a transversal position in the company. So, but again, this is something that runs very slow because the mindset, and I'm repeating, but this is a very important key message, is not there, still not there. But when you have all this, it will be super easy to HR understanding that they need to include the reward of knowledge, of insights in the key performance indicators, in the way, in the overall, when they are deciding promotions, rewards, and so on and so on. Now, the final note that I have to you, and I think it's very important, I don't know which is your position or even how Professor Paul put this in perspective or not, but I think it's, for me, it's very important. You can have information management without knowledge management, but you never can have knowledge management without information management practices. So just this schema was designed by one of my master students in her master report. And she performed a very interesting study in a big retail company in Portugal, in the department of marketing, because her dream was to work in marketing, and she was in the degree of information science. So it was funny because she decided to go ahead with the master. And but I told her, why not? If you love marketing, why not? Let's find here a theme that connects your passion with your degree, with the master, and then appears this master. So at the end, I knew already this, but at the end, she in fact concluded that the first thing in this case to for the digital strategies in marketing to get any success in the process that she studied, the first thing that she was forced to study and to alert the company was, if they don't have a concrete process of information management, it's impossible to get ahead. It's impossible, because you need to have all your content extremely well organized in order to go to the next level, that is collecting insights. Because again, knowledge management is everything, is the explicit, what we call the information that is critical, that the things that you need to have, the documents that you need to have in place that will generate other documents. You need to have everything absolutely in the right place, to the correct access, with the correct versions, with correct permissions. And on the top, and now again, bringing again, I'm sorry, the table that I shared in the beginning of the artificial intelligence. Again, what you need to have to be the number one in your business is this information management process in place, but you need then to create the conditions to collect what people are doing with that information, meaning the insights, meaning the knowledge that will generate more information, that will generate more knowledge in a loop learning cycle that just make the business go faster and in a more solid way. So, but if you don't have the information very well organized in process of information managers, in the information management system, you cannot have the second level. Because again, this, in my opinion, knowledge management only exists when you have information management. And very important, knowledge management doesn't manage anything, just create the conditions to the flow, to people have the chance to share and to make this flow. Information, knowledge, information. Because what for me is knowledge, for you is an information, and becomes your knowledge in the moment that you associate what I am telling you to something that you have in your mind, and bang, knowledge, it's here, it's in my memory, so it's my knowledge. So that's why I'm telling, I don't manage knowledge. I create the conditions for make this fluid inside the organization. Now, don't forget, and now we are getting out of time, so I would like to leave some minutes to your questions and comments. So don't forget about this meeting today. First thing, and maybe this is very poetic, but it's really true. You need to be very strategic, consistent, and generous. So strategic because, and let's pull back the slide of our first problem, that is the housekeeping. It's very difficult to find the department, the corporate department of information and knowledge management. It's very hard. Corporate, like HR, finance, whatever. Very, very difficult. So you will be under an office or under a very specific department. You are not a department. You will be an office or something there, or a department, but inside of a structure, not in a transversal position. So your actions need to be very strategic, because perhaps the information and the knowledge you want to manage, if you use, for example, the info map, you will easily understand that other people outside of your area also need it. So you need to be a little bit higher. Use our tools to be very strategic. Then consistent. What you do yesterday, you do today, you will do tomorrow, independently of what people say to you and what people will try to make you believe. And generous, because you need to be really generous. So because you need to give and expect nothing, missionary, because our area is hard. The second thing is never forget that your work is about information, information architecture, and people, and that means knowledge management. Never forget it. I don't know about you, but my students are so worried about things that are connected with more with the information system or informatics itself. It's not our job. It's not our core activities. We are the architects, not engineers. And please keep that in mind. Again, never forget this. If you want to build a house, you go to the architecture first, and then you go to engineering, because the architect needs to draw, needs to put the room, needs to put the dimensions of stuff. This is what our work is all about. It is all about that. So you work with that colleagues, but you don't do their work. So never lose your focus. If you don't understand where your position is, what is your core activities, it's very easy for you to get lost and nobody knows exactly what you do. So you are much more distant from, to get a transversal position. And the last thing, the last message I would like to leave you, it's not my sentences, but there's these two sentences from Steve Jobs, in fact, have been driving me along the years. We really need to stay angry and stay foolish, because only the crazy people that think that will change the world, in fact, they change it. So please keep that in mind. The challenge that we have are incredibly hard, but we really need to think that sometimes you are 20 years ahead from the rest of the world, so you need to sit and wait and do your work to be sure, and be sure that they will be there somewhere. Just think in AI and everything that happened, and people saying that everybody was crazy. And think on the top of all this, think that with AI challenges, this is a huge opportunity for this area. And that's why I'm saying more than ever, stay angry, stay foolish. And once again, thank you very much for this opportunity. Professor Paul, if you would like to, I leave here 5 minutes before ending the class for any question or comment. I'm more than happy to reply. Thank you very much. I'm going to stop sharing.
Good afternoon. Dr. Paul has actually been kicked off due to his load shedding and power outage.
Oh, okay.
So I've been.
I'm alone with you.
No, I'm with you. Don't stress. So if we have any questions from the students, please put it in the chat box, or you're more than welcome to put your hand up and then ask your question. Any questions? We can allow it for another few minutes.
Please don't be shy.
So while we wait for the students to ask, thank you so much on behalf of Dr. Paul for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to actually present to our students. I know this is a very valuable lecture and you presented really well. So I'm looking forward to the next time I sit into your class again. There was a lot of information that we absorbed, and it's very relevant in today's field of information science and knowledge management.
Yes, yeah.
So thank you so much. I love the knowledge letter.
Yes, but in fact, this is something that people really need to consider, because, if the systems where people put many information documents, and we have platforms for many things, if you don't create a space to have the knowledge ladder, how can we make knowledge something that is a deliverable? You can't. Because nobody, if you don't have a place where you put things, the insight, but then if you don't force people to make the categorization, to put the impact and the outcome, it's everybody will say, oh, why I should take care and put there an insight? Nobody will read it. No, in fact, this is where we can act But that's why it's also so important to have HR with us. So our work gained a strength and an impact. Then sometimes I think people are, even us, information and knowledge managers, sometimes we are not completely aware of how impactful this can be. Because when people say to me, it's not possible to measure knowledge, I say, no, it's wrong. It's not possible because we are not using the digital environment to do such thing, because we are not creating ladders in terms of, metrics and in terms of classifications to attribute a label to an insight and to connect it with business impact and outcome, because we are not doing that. Because in the day we start incorporating these thoughts and this mindset, and if we start having students placing masters and PhD where they try to implement this in their projects, and we start having cases of success, I strongly believe that things perhaps will change, because the future, it will be here. And with AI, it's no longer accessing, it's what we do. So intellectual capital, it will be more than ever the most trigger point for success. I think we have a question. No, Ina, sorry.
Yes, you do have a question from Miri. It's, how long do you believe stakeholders buy-in will take, and what is the best way to get buy-in the KM in a small business that is not a large corporation, as they commonly become reliant on individuals as a junior?
Oh, I'm going to open. Okay. Okay. Well, stakeholders, yes, that's a big problem. But what is the best way to get by into knowledge in a small business that is no larger? I'm sorry, just to, sometimes it's better to read large corporate as they commonly become reliant on. Yeah. Well, that again, it's everything about people. But I suggest one thing: when we are juniors, we should only speak when we are sure about what we are saying. Because when we are junior, people say, oh, okay, oh, you are a dreamer. Oh, very nice idea, but no. So first of all, what I suggest is, it's important for you, again, to just to understand what the impact of InfoMap. So it's very important to list information resources that are being produced, by whom, which are the users, potential users, where things are being stored, and understand what is the gap between people that use and potential users, and to understand if the place that this is being stored is easily accessed to others or not, and which are the consequences of not having access for some people. And maybe even in small companies, and I have a student at this moment, she's been making an she's trainee in a small company, and she developed this InfoMap. And it was funny because when she presented to the manager said, wow, we didn't realize that we have all these documents being produced, and we are not aware that only these people having access, and this other should have access and doesn't have. And when she had and with this work, first, the manager understood her value. Secondly, give her a bigger project. So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes we really need to know which tools that we should use, to make very clear that nothing is organized. So if we don't have stuff organized, we are not allowing to have any knowledge to flow it, because we don't have the principle that is information in the right place. So I think the best way is exactly to understand, making an InfoMap, to understand what I have process A, which are the documents that are being produced, who produce, where this will be stored, who are the main users, who are the potential users, and to then show gap and opportunities. I don't know if I clearly, and then of course present it in a very strategic way to the manager and hope that manager understand the value of that work. But if it is easy to a junior, no, but I think you have space starting by exactly making this small analysis. It's I would say it's the first ladder that we have to show that many times the process, the housekeeping is a mess. I don't know if I reply many, but I hope so. Any other question?
Okay, there's a response. Thank you. Yes, you did. So that's good.
Thank you. Thank you
Any
very
other
much.
questions from the students? Does not look like it.
Yes. So I should conclude, or they are amazed, or basically they, oh my God, what's this? But anyway, no, I know it's a lot of information. So anyway, you will have my email at the end, the last slide. So please, students, if you have any question, don't feel shy, mail me. It's always a pleasure. I really like to teach and I really like to meet students, and especially students from other countries, other realities. Feel free to mail me. And again, it was a real pleasure to be here with you. Thank you very much and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you again for your time again for, taking, sorry, for lecturing our students on this very valuable topic. And I'm pretty sure if they have questions, they are going to email you and probably also just connect with you. Sorry.
Yes.
On a general basis, maybe just to get to know you and the work that you do, and hopefully collaborate with you. And hopefully we'll also be collaborating soon. I will definitely be in contact.
Yes,
Thank you once again.
Thank you again.
If you don't mind just staying on for 2 more minutes.
Okay, I'm going to leave. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Stay well. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, apologies for Dr. Paul not being here. He's still having a bit of trouble with his Wi-Fi connectivity. He's currently experiencing load shedding. He did ask me to let you know that he will be doing a recording about the examination prep, and then he'll also have a Q&A session that you will then sign into and, do a live session with him. So please do not stress about that. There will be provisions made on his end for this. Do you have any questions for me that I might be able to answer regarding KM, or that I can pass on to him in the meantime? Oh, here's Dr. Paul. So maybe you can stay on and you'll be able to do the class prep with you. Let's just give him a second to log in properly. Okay, Dr. Paul, are you with us again?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much.
All right, I'm going to make you a co-host. I'm still going to stay on because the recording is now on my computer.
Okay.
All right, so I'm making you host.
Thank you for that.
Okay, no problem.
Great. Thank you very much. So I unfortunately didn't get to see the end of the second half, maybe the second half of the lecture. But I'm very, very grateful. I was really enjoying what Prof. Teresa was saying, and she's got a lot of experience. So, and I was thoroughly enjoying some. Also, I will go back to the recording to see what she said. But that content is not for the examination. It's just more for just to get some life experience and some understanding of how things work out there in the real world. So it was really, really good. But what I do want to discuss now is I want us to just spend, we're not going to spend long. We got a few minutes to discuss the exam. So I just want to share a presentation that I have with you on the exam. And then there'll be an opportunity to ask some questions at the end. Okay. And let me just close this. Sorry, I just want to upload this presentation quickly. Oh, okay. I just want to quickly find that. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. Great. So just to see who's online and who's there, who's active, and I've got 42 people online. Maybe if you just want to share me an emoji that would describe what you thought about the lecture that was given, just something that, an emoji. And if you can't think of an emoji, then give me a word, a keyword or something brief and quick. Okay. Wonderful. Thanks for that. So it looks like it was enjoyed. And some people, it was maybe thought-provoking. Okay, great. Good. Okay, so I know you're there. Wonderful. So the exam is going to be out of 100. So it's out of 100 marks. It's going to be written on the 15th. It's the 15th of June. It's in the study guide. It's a take-home examination. So basically what that means, it will be, you'll give an exam. I'd have to check about 9 o'clock in the morning, and then you'll have about 8 hours to complete it. So it's almost like doing an extended assignment. Okay, I see there I said open boo take-home exam, but I made a mistake there. That's obviously an open book exam. So you can use your class notes, you can use any other notes you're taking yourself. You also, to some degree, I don't advise it, use other resources. We can't stop you, but the thing is, the notes around the class is the way we interpret the content. So if you want to understand a concept, there are different interpretations of a particular concept. And if you just start searching randomly over the internet for information, hoping the internet can help you, it's not very advisable because you might be misled. So just my advice is to stick to your class notes, but you are able to use other resources. Okay. The questions, they will range. I think the shortest question is 5 marks, is only one. There are a few 10-mark questions. I think there's 20 marks. There's all the way up to 30 marks per question. There is one question that is worth more than that, but it's got subcomponents, and the subcomponents, if you add them up, add up to more than 30 marks. So technically, I think one question is 40 marks, but it's not all for 40 marks. There are a number of items you are asked for those 40 marks. Okay. In terms of writing, it would be like an essay style. So you would have to, like an assignment, when I say essay style, there'll be paragraphs. You'll have to write full sentences, avoid the use of bullet points, explain everything, give examples. It's always best to explain and give examples where possible, if it's relevant. If you can, it's always better. In the questions, sometimes you are asked to give an example. But if you can, always give examples and explain and bring context and understanding around the points that you're going to put down. That's going to help you. You can use references. You don't have to use references. A lot of the time you are basically asked to interpret content. So basically you can read the notes, but you're asked to interpret the points. So you will really be speaking from an inner voice and not really as an academic voice through other people's writings, through references and things. But if you feel relevant to put a reference, feel free to put a reference. Okay. Plagiarism. Be very careful. We've been very lucky over the past few years for plagiarism. We haven't had many people who have been caught with plagiarism. So we are using Turnitin software, and also with Turnitin software, one also has to just be careful. There also the ability to look for AI similarity. So any use of machine learning, ChatGPT, artificial language, whatever you want to, any language bot, or regardless of what you call it, please do not use that. We have software to detect that, and we will there will be problems if this detection is high. So please make sure you don't use anything that. Use your inner voice. You always, if you don't know the answer, it's always better to do what you can do than to try and do something else just to answer the paper, because you could get a 0 for the paper and even possibly a disciplinary hearing. And it's just a really, please do not do that. If you don't know the answer, rather just leave the work, carry on, focus on what you do know. Don't do anything that you will regret. Okay. Don't use any AI software, chatbots, or anything like that. Okay. And then all questions, there's no options. So all the questions need to be answered. It's not that you have options. So when you see that the paper, every question on the paper needs to be answered. So please just take note of that. There are very clear instructions. And then also for yourself, you should always just add up the points of the questions to make sure that you get to the total of the exam, just to make sure that you haven't missed anything. But all questions need to be answered. There won't be any options in the exam paper, in both the supplementary and the full exam paper. So this, obviously, the information I've shared with you now applies for both the supplementary and the full exam paper. Okay. Sorry, I don't know what's happening here. Sorry, I think you're seeing all sorts of things on my screen now. Oh, sorry, it's not working. Okay, so just the scope for the exam is themes 1 to 6. The last theme now is the class, and some of the things that were mentioned in the class that I heard in the first part of the class, I think, are to some degree relevant. But it's not content that you study for the exam. It's not part of, but it's really relevant. I think you can definitely incorporate some of the wisdom, some of the knowledge that was shared from our last class, from the guest lecture. Might be of some value, but you don't have to study that, obviously. So another thing you must just focus on is there's little focus on theme 4. So I'm not saying don't read it. I'm just saying there's little focus on it. Please read between the lines. I'm not saying don't read it, but there's little focus, okay? I didn't say no focus on theme 4, but there's little focus on theme 4. So if you have to dig deeper in other sections, definitely dig deeper in other sections, but little focus on theme 4. And then I think just some general tips on to prepare yourself. It's important that you know your work. Even if it's an open book test, you have to study. You have to study, you have to understand the work. You don't have to memorize it off by heart. It's not to see who can memorize work, but you have to study it, you have to understand it. You have to go through it. You have to think, if I was asked to apply this, could I apply it? If I was given an organization as an example, and I've given a framework or something, can I use that as an example? Can I apply this? What is my understanding of this? And that's the level of detail that you have to engage with the content. If you don't understand it, most of the things that are in the notes, there are sources. You need to go to the bigger sources and do some deeper reading on concepts. Okay. So the sources are important for the exam for understanding. But if you understand the work and it makes sense to you, and your comprehension of it's good, and when the classes, you can go back and watch the classes, and those seem to make sense to you, then maybe you don't have to go into the sources. But if there are sections where you're battling, please go back to the sources, do some reading on that content, just to make sure that you're on track and that you have a good understanding of that. What's very important for this test is the application of theory. So again, we're not testing how well you memorize things, because it's open book, so that would not be a very effective thing to test because it's open book, but it's how you apply the content. Okay, so having the notes in front of you is not the answers. It's about applying that content, even a given scenario, or making a decision. How do I compare A with B? Whatever A and B are, they're two concepts. How can I compare them? Those are the kind of questions that you're going to get. Okay, look, very important when you're looking at your notes, use your headings, because the headings are the topics and those topics can be converted to questions. So if you want to know if you're in the right area in terms of notes, so this is the content the lecturer is talking about. When they ask this question, look at the headings. The headings are the key to the content, okay? And they have at least one past paper in 20, so maybe 2022. I said 2021, but 2022 past papers were given to the library. So the library should have a collection of a past paper to look at. Prior to that, I was not involved in the subject, and unfortunately, I don't know what happened with the subject prior to that. But since 2022, I know I have given papers through to the library. They should be available. I don't know exactly how or where, but I have given them to the library. So please, if you want to look for that, you need to then look through the past papers. It should be there. If it's not there, ask an assistant or someone for help. And if they can't find help, sorry, I see there, Naila's there.
So Dr. Paul, it is on the library website. If you search the library catalog and you go to UP space, you'll be able to find all our past papers there.
Okay, thank you for that. So it is available on the library website. Thank you, Naila, for that. And it's under the UP space, and you will be able to search for the papers. So thank you for clarity on that. But I did hand the paper in. So there is at least one paper, which would be a good aid to give you an idea of what to expect, because it's a similar paper that I set, and the style will be the same, and there'll be some similarities there. Okay. And very important, don't rely on other people. Just because you have technology, just because you can share, just because there's no way of knowing or not knowing, but don't do it. If someone asks you for help or whatever, just be very careful. Sometimes you don't even copy people, but somehow people get your work, or you mean well to try and help someone, but just don't do it, because the software is very effective at picking up plagiarism and percentages, similarity percentages. So really be very, very, very careful. If you think you're gonna, just don't communicate, don't join groups. If people, I'm advising against it. It's not a group assignment, it's an individual assignment. What you think might help you might actually be your downfall. So just be very, very, very careful. Okay, rather go in, put in some time, study, go through the work and prepare for it. It's really, the test is designed to test your thinking and the way you apply the content. That's really what we're aiming for. And that's your IP. So keep your IP. Be careful. Don't get involved. Don't try and help people. Some people try and help people, but I've been in a few situations where it really has ended up, and it's been a bit of a disaster, and it's hurt the people who meant to do well or just thought they're helping someone. If someone puts you under pressure to help them, you have the right to say no. So just say no. Unfortunately, you can't help them. Okay. Great. So then I think that's it from my side. Are there any questions on the work? On the content that I've gone over about the test? Is there any? So we spoke about past papers. They are under the UP space. You will be able to search to find past papers, a past paper at least. You know what to study. You know the format of the exam. The scope, which is pretty general, it's themes 1 to 6, and I said there's little focus on theme 4. Is there anything else any questions that you have? Also, just a side note, the assignment is due tonight. So I know that there are some people working on that, the group assignment. So I don't see any.
Dr. Paul, there is questions. The one is,
Okay.
can these be open for 24 hours or more than 8 hours to accommodate working students?
I will have to be guided by the department on that. I will find out if we will extend it for longer than that, but I don't know if it'll be extended. In the past, I think it was never extended for 24 hours. So I will find out. If you please email me directly if you have that type of request. I will be guided by some of the decision makers in our department.
Okay, there's another question. When will our semester marks be released?
Okay, so the semester marks, thank you, Naili. Sorry, I think I've got them from here. The semester marks, you're handing assignment in now. And I need to mark all the assignments, all the group assignments are about, I think there's 18 groups. So I've got a lot of work ahead of me to do. So, but to be very honest with you, I don't think you're going to get I think about a week before, or even a week before the test would be in 2 or 3 days from now. So I'm going to do my best to get it done, sure, by Friday. Okay, so I will try by Friday to do it, but do understand you've just handed something in now. I know the exam's coming up on the 15th, but I will do my best to get your final marks out by Friday. Okay. The duration of the exam, so that was spoken about it's at this point, it's 8 hours. At this point, it's 8 hours, a minimum of 8 hours. Whether it's extended or not, please, there are people that will email me and I will seek advice on that. So someone asked, is there a more recent past paper? So maybe the person who's, what can you find? Because I sent last year's past paper, that is the most recent one. Is that one available? So I'm not sure about that question. The most recent paper should be available. Anything prior to that, I'm not sure. And I wouldn't focus on anything else prior to that. And one paper is enough to give you an idea of what to expect. Okay, I see that people are saying 2014. Okay. So Gerard and okay, I will follow that up tomorrow to find out what's going on. Okay, because we do hand these papers to the library, and it is their role to put them and make them available. So I will have to follow up and find out about that. Can I ask that you just send me a direct email? Gerard, maybe I'm looking at your name. If you want to just send me, because 2014 will not be relevant because I never set those tests. So the style, the type of questions. Also, then also in 2014 they were doing sit down examinations. They were not open books, so they really won't help you. And the contents are dated. Okay, so I will come back to you about that other class, and Gerard said he will email me that, so I will follow up on that. Okay. If I can't get it out for whatever reason through the library, but I will communicate over announcements, then I will make it available to you. Okay. Are there any more questions? Okay, so just some quick feedback. If there is anyone typing, I will come back to you about the questions, the question paper for last year to make sure that it's available. I will just follow up with the library but I will communicate to you by the end of the week about that. And then the assignment that is due tonight, all the assignments need to be marked. I'm hoping that the marks will be released on Friday. I will be working hard to finish those, to get those done by Friday. Okay. I'm not seeing any more questions online. I don't know if anyone's typing. I think what we can do, sorry, Naila, if you can maybe stop the recording now, I will just maybe stay on for a minute or two if there is